Facebook was an accident. I mean, the guy was creating face mash, and that led to the creation of Facebook. Orkut, Google, all these companies, if you see, they are primarily started by people who weren't really looking to create companies.
Please hit the subscribe button and the bell icon to never miss a video from Sunstone Eduversity.
People wanted to come to me and they wanted me to personally train them. And this is something which I did not understand, because I had literally given them everything for free. All they had to do was read and implement, and people were getting results. But people wanted me to personally train them. And that's when I realized that it's not the technical knowledge, it's not the diet or the training, it's the hand holding. It's just that people don't have the motivation. And so they always need somebody to guide them, like a coach. So I looked around at what are the options available for people and found out that there's no transparent, accountable, curated marketplace which can solve this problem. So the same people who I was training initially, I started educating them. And then I discussed this idea with them that, hey, if instead of me training you, I educate you, and then you can coach other people, you can make some money, because there are people out there who are looking for somebody who can motivate them and guide them and train them, and they are okay to pay a little bit of amount. So this led to the idea of creation of a quick curated marketplace. I personally believe that mistakes are extremely important. And while yes, you can learn from other people's mistakes, but somehow entrepreneurship is all about personal experience. It's not about learning from a book. Entrepreneurship is something you definitely cannot learn from the book. You can understand entrepreneurship, you can understand what somebody else is doing, but if you want to become an entrepreneur, you have to do some mistakes. You have to have that experience, and it does not necessarily be an experience that comes out because you want to. Most of the times, these kind of experiences are incidental or accidental. If you talk about the case of Uber founder, he found Uber because one fine day he was in a cab and he wasn't getting a cab. In the middle of the road, somebody dropped him, and he said, "This is bad. There has to be a better way." That's why I figured out Facebook was an accident. I mean, the guy was creating face mash, and that led to the creation of Facebook. Orkut, Google, all these companies, if you see, they are primarily started by people who weren't really looking to create companies, but they were very open to experimenting. They were very open to learning, experiencing what life threw at them. I took all that experience and then realized, okay, this is wrong. I have to do something about it. And that's how those companies came into existence. Quantified nutrition is essentially tracking calories. It is in line with the scientific principles. It is in line with the principles of conservation of energy. The principle of conservation of energy says that energy can neither be created nor be destroyed, transforms from one form to another. And from that, the basic principle that we have derived is the principle of quantified nutrition, which says that if you want to lose weight, you have to consume less calories than your total daily energy expenditure. And if you want to gain weight, you have to consume more calories than your total daily energy expenditure. Now, these are not the concepts which we have developed or have researched. These are the concepts which existed all along the way. We just made them more popular in India. So quantified nutrition is basically just quantifying food, measuring food. So every company is in a nailing stage, selling stage, scaling stage, and sailing stage. So think of nailing stage as going through a jungle. You have no plans, you have nothing but your wits and probably a company of people. You don't want to be stuck in that jungle with a bunch of people who do not understand what you're saying or who want to explore their own path. Because what's more important in the jungle? Is it 10 different people going in 10 different directions, standing there and arguing or fighting, or a group of people who are moving in the same direction as the leader tells them to? I think it's the first one, in which you all group together, because if anything comes, and a jungle is full of surprises, right? So you always want to be in a group. I mean, if you guys have seen the movies, this is how it works out. You stay in the group, You use your wits. There's a leader, you listen to the leader, and there's a good chance that he ends up taking all of you guys out of the jungle. But if there's 10 guys fighting around, arguing, going in different directions, you'll get eaten up, because jungles, they are formidable. They don't care about your planning. They don't care about your weapons or anything. Anything can happen in the jungle. So it's pretty much the same in entrepreneurship. When you're starting out, it's really, really important that you lead, and there are people who believe in your vision or mission. And the idea should be to nail the product. At a later point of time, you can always hire talent. But the first step is you should always stick with loyal people, or people who would understand what you're saying and will stick with your vision and mission. The reason why I don't give tips and tricks to anybody, that you should do this and do that, is because I don't want people to be confined to specifics. And in my personal experience, I've seen people getting confined and eventually getting confused because they thought this might work. And when it didn't work, they got disappointed. Some people will get it right in the first time, but some people will take more than one attempt to get it right. Like for me, it was my first attempt at entrepreneurship. And, there's so many people who've been trying entrepreneurship for so many years, they just can't do it. And in our case, it worked so beautifully that, we created a company, bootstrap, $90,000 to 100 crores. I think I found a problem. I found a problem which I was facing. And if you think about the whole thing, the problem, the whole solution was routed in my personal problem, where I was trying to get back on track and I could not find a reliable source for health and fitness. So I said, okay, wow, this is crazy, because the internet is so big, and yet every single place I went, from bodybuilding.com to Wikipedia to science journals to research links, the information was very, very discrete. It was not coherent or consistent. And that's when I figured, okay, this is something I'm facing myself. There's a good chance if I'm having the same problem, there's a million more people who are facing the same problem. And so the solution which I envisioned came out of my personal problem. And I think the same you would find for a lot of other entrepreneurs. They weren't really trying to solve a first world or third world problem. They were just trying to solve their personal problems. And that's a good place to start. So if you come across hundreds of ideas, I think you should zone into the ideas which are more relevant to you. And there's a good chance that if it is relevant to you, it might be relevant to millions of people out there, because no matter how much we try to stand out, essentially we as humans are all the same, and we face same kind of problems every single day. So let's say there are 100 ideas. Out of those 100 ideas, 5 ideas relate to you. I would say focus on those 5 problems. When you find a problem and you try to solve that problem, I mean, a toothpick, who would think of a toothpick? And yet you buy stockpiles of toothpicks at home. Who would think that you can sell something as a hairpin, which is very simple, but there's $1 billion worth of businesses out there. So I'm saying entrepreneurship is all within. You just have to find that entrepreneur within. Ligometry says that let's try and understand the things we don't know, okay? So that we are not confined by the things we know, because entrepreneurship, creativity, it all comes from knowing the things that we don't know, and ligometry itself is such a powerful concept that once you go through it, you understand exactly what I'm talking about. When we see something, we start asking questions about that thing. We stop worrying about all the things that extend or exist beyond that. Sometimes we have to ask ourselves questions which normal people will not understand, and that's where the real magic happens.
If you like this video, please hit the subscribe button and the bell icon to never miss a video from Sunstone Eduversity.